few days ago, HD, which is this woman down in the corner here, shared a post about apple cider vinegar. Regardless of what the story was about, I was still going to watch it out because I'm a fan of HD. What I didn't realize until a few days later, or actually a few hours later, was Belle Gibson, the story that this is based upon, is fuming and she didn't like that this story was coming out. For those that don't know, Belle Gibson is one of Australia's scammers. She went through a few years of claiming she had brain cancer and that she cured her brain cancer without the aid of doctors. She said that she just changed what she was eating. She went healthy living and just, it mattered. And all that got rid of stage 4 brain cancer. Yeah. She managed to con people into believing that this healthy living was very sustainable in order to beat cancer. She also convinced people that to donate to her for all these causes that she supported, including entwining people into her web of lies. Yeah. This is a story that only happened within the last decade or so, and only really unraveled in the last probably just over 5 years. So still within that decade bracket. Now, I remember this story, like I said, it's fairly recent. I followed almost every single detail of Belle Gibson's unraveling. I wasn't there in the beginning, but I was certainly there in the aftermath. The casting is near spot on. The woman who plays Liz Hayes is near spot on. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was like, I've seen Liz Hayes in action. I've watched 60 Minutes. I know that journalist does not take nonsense. She's straight to the bone. So, authentic casting, with the exception of 2 people as far as I'm aware. Everyone else is an Australian cast. Caitlin Dever, she plays Belle Gibson. I had to Google 1,000,001 times to try and remind myself that this woman is not Australian. She's American, but she managed to do Belle's voice and mannerisms to a T. You've got this lovely lady who plays Millie Blake. Now, Millie Blake is a fictitious character, but she is inspired, by a real-life woman who had her own similar journey. Millie is a character who has cancer and tries to find alternative medicines, which is, again, clean living, to rid herself of cancer. The only downfall is, unfortunately, she does pass away. Not because of healthy living, just because she chose to ignore when it got worse. Now, Millie's based off a real woman who was not connected to Belle Gibson in any way, but the two did rise up at the same time, and their paths did unfortunately go 2 different routes. One woman with genuine cancer who unfortunately passed away, and Belle. One thing that I found really interesting is the fact that at the beginning of each episode is that they gave a spiel on Belle Gibson did not get paid for this story. This is fictitious, but it's based off a lie. Fun little fact for those outside of Australia is Australia has a law where perpetrators cannot profit from their crimes. If you have been legally charged with fraud, with violence, with drugs, allegations, legally charged, you are not allowed to earn a cent of anything that has to do with your story. I found that out when Chappelle Colby with her story. They are not allowed to earn a cent. If they do, that cent has to go to the victims. It's a very lovely little rule that we have in Australia. Now, the sad reality of Belle Gibson is that she only really, I want to say she got a slap on the wrist, but I don't think that's true. But she kind of didn't really get the severe punishment that a lot of people thought she should have deserved, because she conned a lot of people into losing a lot more than it's worth. Apple Cider Vinegar is a really good Australian true crime story. The narrative is kind of interesting with the way that it plays around, because it's non-linear. It flashbacks every so often. You have to you have to follow it very carefully, as well as following the characters very carefully. Yes, it's very easy to tell who's who, but also, again, you just need to make sure you're paying attention to the narrative. It's very gripping, it's very hooking. Unfortunately, it took me nearly 2 days to watch. In my defense, I had work and I had other things that I had to do. So I just couldn't binge it all in one hit. But it's an hour long for each episode, 6 episodes, but you are hooked from the get-go. I thought it was done pretty well. I think the casting's pretty spot on. If you're Australian, you'd be like, oh my god, I can't unsee what I'm seeing here. The actors are all Australian, and I am familiar with every single one of those actors, and I lost my mind a lot of those times. Like Richard Davis, he plays the journalist. I was like, I know that voice. Why do I know this voice? And then realized that the last time I saw him on my screen, he was playing like this bogan type of character. So to see him look like a grown-up is very cool. So yeah, it's interesting to watch. It's I think it's also one of those things, because I like watching true crime stories, it's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily paint Belle as the saint, but it also doesn't necessarily paint her as the victim. It gives you a scope of conversational ideas you could have. You know what she's done is wrong, but they try to justify it by saying she's a human being. You just have to watch Apple Cider Vinegar. You learn a lot. It's very wild. It's very interesting. Very Australian. And very heartbreaking too. Unfortunately.